Studio Galaxy 473. We're back again with the next section of our program, and you are with the Galaxy Equalizers. And this time I'm joined by Master Carl. And remember, the number to call is 410 3030, the Galaxy Equalizers. And this morning we're going to discuss the topic NNP, the institution. And it is right and fitting. 40 years is a significant period in anybody's life. That is the only political party in Grenada that have reached 40 years. Those in the days when most of us are Christians and we go back to the Bible, 40 is a significant period. 40 years in the wilderness, 40 days and nights. When a political party make 40 years, it means that that political party could be considered as an institution. They have gone through the rope. They have gone through the fire. And NNP had made 40 years and they come out in shining colors. It's the only political party in Grenada and in the Commonwealth that have won election on 3 occasions and win all the seats. The only political party. And they have done that with a leader, same leader, Kit Claudius Mitchell. Stone, Jonah, you give him what name? One of the individuals in our country that perhaps have been criticized the most, have weathered the storm, and doesn't seem to be a vengeful person. Very successful political leader. NNP as a party, and he was one of the founding members of the political party. So I believe at that stage we should look at NNP, the institution, and look at NNP leadership. So today we're going to look at NNP, the institution. We're going to look at NNP, the leadership, the nuclei. We're going to look at NNP politicos. We're going to look at NNP campaigners. We're going to look at NNP convention. And then we're going to look at NNP education program and the public relation. Master Carl.
Yes, senior.
In the Bible, 40 years is a significant period. Perhaps we should remind Christians and allude to some of the significant period of 40 years.
40 years is so significant in the Bible. Remember the flood?
40 days and 40 nights.
Remember the children of Israel left Egypt and they should have entered the promised land in 7 days.
40 years, the wonder.
40 years in the wilderness. So 40 is significant. And 40 years as a political party, Mr. Pierre, is something worth savoring. And not just 40 years as an institution, but the successes, as you alluded to, 15 3 times, 14 one time. And what make NNP the institution, it has governed with absolute majority. And it has also governed when they say they win the election by 6 votes. 8-7. So that is the hallmark of NNP. It has not always been the best. NNP has won, I think, 5 elections and lost 3. So NNP, the institution, knows a lot about governance and it also knows about opposition. And in my view, NNP as an organization has played its role in governance from 2013 to 2022, in my view, is one of the best piece of governance by the NNP. And NNP has been in opposition 3 times, so it knows its way around how to get back into power. So when we talk about an institution, you have it there. It is not only, NNP has been tried, it has been tested, and it has, as an old friend of mine would say, NNP has came up with the goods.
I think the time has come for NNP to stamp the print in the Caribbean as an institution. It is a party that is inclusive. There is absolutely no doubt about that. It's a party that is all encompassing. It's a party that reach out to the people in the lower income group. They feel very comfortable with that political party. The times they dare and they change them, they run back to them immediately. Remember in the period, I think it's 2008, when the government won 11 seats. And 5 years after, or less than 5 years after, the party that won 11 seats lost all the seats, including the prime minister.
But to show the inclusive nature of the NNP senior, persons who formed the government from 2008 to 2013, 4 years, 7 months, and 19 days, was part of the government from 2018 in one Peter David. So that's to tell you how all embracing and encompassing an NNP believes in the greater good for the greater number. Unlike the NDC, who will be celebrating 37 years, that track record or hallmark cannot be attached to them. The successes of NNP could only be mentioned in the sentence or in the same breath with NNP and NNP only. The leadership. Now, there's this talk in recent times about divisiveness and leadership and so on, Mr. Pierre. NNP, in terms of Caribbean politics, in terms of leadership, in terms of leader, for the past 35 years thereabouts, NNP had one leader, the same person as leader. And it's something worth noting, Mr. Pierre. And with all the talk in recent times about the leadership and so forth, in my view, it has to be a matter of concern for the NNP and the NNP only. Persons outside the scope of NNP doesn't have that authority, in my view, to speak to or to speak of that, Mr. P. However, with that being said, NNP track record of adhering to the democratic principles ought not to be compromised at this stage, senior. When I say that, there's and the executive has indicated that convention ought to be held this year. And in my view, and that's my view here, when convention is held, it must seem to be open and fair, senior. And I'm not saying that to slight anyone or to knock anyone, and anyone who is part of or who will be part of any decision making in that time is entitled to their view, is entitled to whom they feel. But at the end of the day, it ought to be operating in an atmosphere of the least bruising of the party senior. Because you see, you have to talk frank in those matters, Because as I see it, the country Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martin, the state of Grenada, is depending on the NNP to return to government to salvage what has been done to this country by the National Democratic Congress. So, moving forward is not about us and them, and it's about we. So, the least bruising that could happen, Mr. Pierre, is my recommendation. What say you?
Well, I have to disagree with you when you said the concerns of the convention and NNP and NNP alone. You have to remember the black wizard tell us inside NDC, full NNP.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of people
riding on that.
who you consider now as NDC that is extremely concerned about the bruises in NNP. They don't want NNP to be bruised.
Nah.
Because that is their party.
Yeah.
They happen to venture inside NDC because of some of the challenges, the changes, and the utterances and what was offered.
And political
But
party.
deep down, they are NNP.
Yep.
And NNP must be mindful. I heard a number of NNP say, die with business. No. It's the country's business. Because NNP is an institution. A successful institution. An all-encompassing, inclusive, embracing, forgiving political party. So NNP convention must be open. It must be democratic. It must be clear. And they must encourage people to vie for the leadership. Particularly in light of the fact that there was some level of indication that the previous leader, Dr. Kit Mitchell, may not contest again. And after that period, you would have liked a heated challenge by different people. Because all the individuals know at the helm of NNP is much more qualified than anybody has seen in NDC.
Yeah.
Kate Lewis, and I would use her name, because perhaps she's the youngest one there and may not even be thinking about it.
She's more green.
Is more competent than Dick Mitchell, more competent than Lennox Cornwall,
Dennis
Cornwall, more competent than any individual. So it tells you
he's more competent by far than Andy Williams.
Well, Andy is a joke. So the quality of the individuals there. So obviously, the NNP must ensure that the least bruises exist after the convention. There must be little bruises, but it must be acceptable and move on. And so they must have a convention that is clear and open. I do hope that NNP, the time has come for NNP to have a convention month.
But just before you go to that, in the case of any bruises, whoever emerges, as you like to use the word, saye,
yes, saye,
who win, that person ought to know that they have to be in a position to be all-encompassing. And bruises, if it occur, they have to be able from day one to start the healing process. Because we still rely on numbers, Mr. Pierre. And in politics, either you multiply or you add to remain relevant and successful. So that ought to be the hallmark of after the result of the convention. And persons vying for leadership, if you does not emerge as a winner, that does not mean you have to take your marble and move. That is my view of the
Yes,
situation.
because the quality of the individuals, well, over the last 10 years, as you said, the period that of the NNP reign, I thought it was the best display of politics in my lifetime in Grenada.
And
It-
another point of warning, senior, and you spoke to it earlier because you draw the parallel of Black Wizard. In no way, shape, or form, the NNP should look to not embrace persons whom they believe last election voted for NDC and who fell prey to the promises of pension and permanent. Those people ought to be embraced on their return as one of us. And we ought not say where they coming back here for and so on. Because at the end of the day, is the first past the post and who get more vote win.
but the very policy of NNP, inclusiveness, all embracing, should address these issues.
Yeah, because
That individual, it doesn't matter who, because NDC itself is about 2,000, 3,000 people. I don't think NDC is more than 2,000. They hardly could make 3,000 people. It's just a group of selfish individuals that believe they're in a different social class. And every now and then, they provide a very attractive medium where people fall prey to
because
because of
that the only how they could
environmental
get through.
factors. Yeah,
As
they
you
can't.
use that number, I was in a discussion with an NDC strong person, and I said to them, "It's about 4,000 of all you have." He said,
But you
"Watch."
give them a lot.
He said 38 persons overtook Grenada in the revolution. I say, "Okay."
Yeah, the revolution had a view that once they have 15% of the population support, they could run the country. That is why they had mobilization for mass organization. So they would put people and give the young people guns, and when they have guns, they have power. And they involve them in mass organization, keep them very busy, and as a result of that, they use this group and jail 3,000 to conquer the earth. So that is why they had mobilization. And you notice in this political party, they established a ministry to mimic the propaganda machine of Marxist Leninist countries. That is why they have mobilization in MIT. No other reason um, to help their political mischief program. So NNP have to understand that after 40 years, you're an institution. And I do hope that NNP introduce a specific month for the convention. You see how people like the American
You know when
politics,
election is.
they know exactly this is convention month. That would help your party strengthen the institutional
And the
infrastructure
organs and everything would
and the
be
organs
in
and
place.
machinery. Convention month, whether it's October, December, whatever day in the month, people know the date could change for.
So, senior, what is your true view? And as you say earlier on, it is the business of everyone because NNP is the party that normally rescues Grenada. What is your true view as it is to the convention?
Well, I don't know what they, but all I would like to see they have a convention that is open and clear, and they have people contesting the leadership, particularly if Dr. Mitchell is not contesting the seat. You don't want it to happen that
People
a leader move out and one person, as if it appear or seems, is a handpick. You want people contest the seat because all the individuals are capable. They are quite capable. So you should open to have free and fair election. It must not only be fair, it must look, appear, and seems.
like justice.
Yeah, as a scale.
Yeah.
It must look, appear, and seems. because you want to register that institution in the country clear. So other political parties would have to follow. Already it is difficult for any political party to match the level of tolerance shown by NNP ministers from Kit Mitchell, Peter David, Emlyn Pierre, Miss Modeste, Oliver Joseph, to the barrage and bombardment of criticism they had for 10 years. And I've never seen or heard even a strong NDC member say that one of them was vengeful.
No.
Not
They
even
seem-
coming from hardline NDC.
At times, a lot of the NNP supporters believe they were too soft on.
Of
EC.
course, and I admire that was one of the things that I admire about our democracy.
One of the hallmark of Dr. Mitchell also too. He has been a politician who get the most licks in Grenada. And he is one that able to absorb the leaks and come back stronger. And you haven't heard him being vengeful, as you say. Or there are times when people overstep and he took them to task. And the result is well known. However, the amount of things that has been said about Dr. Kit Mitchell, and in your introduction, you call certain names that people attach to him. And he always remain steadfast.
But he's not a man that responds to criticism too good. What about Gregory Boyd?
Because
Gregory Boyd have taken some, and he have not
they
responded.
take a real beat up.
He have not
Well,
responded.
the whole
The whole team.
Peter
Peter
Emma
David,
Pierre had taken
Emlyn
beat
Pierre,
up. Peter David, Clarice, everybody
Miss
taking beat
Modeste.
up, and they just
They never. I admire that level of tolerance, that level of respect, that level of humility.
you never see them on live beating up
I think that
anybody.
Yolan Bain Hasford.
Yes.
I think that is one of the greatest attributes
One
of
of-
this group of people.
that was one of the greatest team
In the whole
of
Caribbean, I've not
politicians
seen.
assembled.
I follow some politics in the Caribbean, and I've not seen. We had one prime minister in the Caribbean. There used to be on a wall calling Brian Nancy. When he comes in Parliament, he set a tractor and mash up the wall. 100 years old wall.
Even Nicolas
He break it
Steele
up.
during the pandemic,
Yeah, that
in
was
my
a little
view,
giant again.
served with distinction.
I'm sorry he left the politics.
Press briefings,
Frontline politics.
and so on. He was a man who was on top of the game. Although people believed when he was placed in the ministry, he didn't know much, but he handled the pandemic
Very,
very well.
and with humility and grace. So
But if you contrast the present team now,
that is an excuse. This is like
between night and day, chalk and cheese.
it's a group of vultures, and they introduce restorative justice. It's a group of vultures, very, very vindictive. One individual coined the term, and I am in full agreement with him. Poor people terrorists is the worst group of politicians in the Caribbean. I know of no other group in the Caribbean. In my sojourn on this earth,
Senior, your boy
more destructive.
bigging up Anthony too.
That is more destructive than
Anthony too listening you, senior. He on snake oil.
yes. So as we go to NNP again, we should look at NNP education program.
Yep.
I think it's
And-
very.
and-
Remember the number to call is 410 3030. See, I get stuck in midair. 410 3030.
As you enter into the fray of education and education a lot of times is based mainly for the young people, although all older persons could benefit. And I saw this present government was talking about the Empower is a program of the NNP. And what is fascinating, or what behooves me, senior, the NNP was attacked and said no, they did nothing. But I'm glad to see that one of the programs is being utilized presently. Yes, senior, about the education.
Yes, I think the NNP has been not as effective in the education program. And sometimes people say, I'm doing so much, and you ignore. And I believe that has been responsible for NNP losing election. The education program. I have
Education as in terms of the
political
supporters,
education to the
political, yeah.
supporters. When Deacon Mitchell could say that the political party has done nothing since 1983,
And nobody really defended that.
and you didn't hear a hue and cry from every corner in the country, including the Chamber of Commerce and the trade union, it meant that the, the NNP education program was not good.
A lot of people take things for granted.
People just take things for granted. The NNP education program was not good. For a party to have done so much, to have won election on 3 occasions,
15.
winning all these seats, is because people had confidence in that party. Even after they won, the opposition won, the government won 11 seats, and NNP won 4. In less than 5 years, people race back. They race back to NNP,
And give them an overwhelming
and give them
mandate.
an overwhelming, even the prime minister and all,
Lose
had
the
to
seat.
put his tail between the lap and go. He lost his seat. And then an individual, a political juvenile, comes around and say that the party has not done anything.
But you're onto something there, senior. Within the 40 years, save and except where a political leader of the National Democratic Congress decide that they didn't take in part in election again. On 3 occasions, NNP managed to. The leader of the NDC then couldn't win his seat.
They can win this.
And that is something that tells you about the institution of NNP. In terms of the education, I agree that, and I'll give you a case in point, the Imanis. Every time the National Democratic Congress spoke about the Imanis, they blame the NNP for giving them free money. That was it. Handout. But the NNP, I believe, that's my view, took it for granted because they went and bent over backward to facilitate the Imanis. They thought it is all clear with the Imanis, and we didn't educate them politically or educate them as to why the sacrifice was made for them. So when Deacon Mitchell came and he was in that meeting in Bonnier St. Max, and one of the Imanis asked him straight, what about the Imanis? He jumped up and said, you're going to make everybody permanent. Now, I believe if the political education was done, the Imanis would have no right joke. Because a government with the experience of NNP could not make all the Imanis permanent, and you know if that could have happened, the NNP would have do it. You ought to know that the education or the political education was not done. That is why I believe the village groups and so on, that the onus in this dispensation, Mr. Pierre, ought to be placed on a lot of political education and information. Now, a lot of persons keep saying that the PR in NNP weak. I don't really share that view, The information is not being given. Because you can't tell me all of these projects that this government is attempting to do was project, as so speak, was in the pipeline by NNP. But how much NNP people knew that? How much politicos knew that? How much supporters knew that? Because we're hearing them now, and when you really do a back check, you realize no, the NNP had this thing planned. All what the government claiming now, and even we have to go even to pension, Mr. Pierre, was something where 2,200 persons was already receiving pension. So when they say we go pay pension, this information was not out to the politicos. So information was not ready, Mr. Pierre. Because this government making a song and dance about 525 persons in pension, and then you hear they say, oh, they have to change the pension thing because it could bankrupt the country. But NNP was paying 2,200 persons pension. And that, and when the whole discussion of we go pay pension, we didn't hear in that, Mr. Pierre. So the information was not forthcoming, like you say, education information. And that's something maybe was an Achilles heel of the NNP, which they ought to fix pronto.
As an institution, they must fix that. You have to educate the people. Democracy is an interesting thing. Democracy doesn't mean that you don't perform it.
No.
You could perform economically. Your country could improve and you lose election because you did not do the
Well,
education.
that classic case what happened in 2022. Because if you look at the history, 2013 NNP came in February thereabouts. And it was a challenge then to even pay salaries. And we know the stories who had to go and get money and who had to go. We heard all that. But did the politicos and other persons know that? No.
It wasn't.
Then over $100 million unpaid claims in the treasury, which NNP paid, and even the agreement NDC signed with the unions, NNP had to fix it. How many politicos and NNP members knew that? Little bit. So there was a lot of things what could have been sold to debunk a lot of the promises. Then we come down, so NNP fix that. Then we enter into the stage of the pandemic. And persons in the public service continue to receive increases. Pay was on time, and all these things and them happen under strain. And even during the pandemic, when cost of living became one of the main issues, they were able to put measures in place to cushion that effect. So if you're talking about performance as a government, NNP didn't lose election because of non-performance, Mr. Pierre. And that's the crux of the matter where education was not what it ought to be. Because the present government now came in, give stories, in 12 months we go make everybody permanent. And even we as commentators at the time, Mr. Pierre, was just saying that's pie in the sky, not explaining how difficult that would be to happen. They say everybody would receive pension, even fellas who sit on the roadside. They believe they would get pension. But we did not debunk it. We did not unpack it and show people how impossible it was based on government resources and so on. So the thing about it is we ought not to be pointing blame, but we could point out areas which we believe could improve. And the thing is, what I, you, and others could do to remedy the situation. We does not have the remedies for all maladies. We don't claim we know everything and we know all. But there are certain fundamental things which we believe, if we do well, could be very helpful in us getting back into the seat of government, into the estate of power.
And strengthen your political institution. Because you have to see, after 40 years, with the measure and level of success that you have, you are a positive institution in this country. But sometimes people could get complacent. You see that every day. Children living, they have their parents. And when the parents dead, they just realize how hard the parents used to work.
Yeah, complacency is the mother of all
The
mishap.
Imani program, the best program instituted in Grenada in the last 100
The
years,
Caribbean.
took a battering from the opposition. And the opposition was correct. Good strategy. Go after the best program.
Yeah.
Some of the individuals in the program did not feel proud to be in the program.
Nah.
They would not say, I am a medical doctor today, but I was an Imani.
I'm afraid to say that.
I'm a teacher today, but I was an Imani. I'm a police today, but I was an Imani. I interviewed about 50 of them, about 7 on radio. All of them was proud, and they told me of their achievement. When I saw some of the very people I interviewed campaigning against the Imani program, because the NDC did a very good job in destroying the Imani program. And in the previous election, they looked the Imani in the eye. They say, you all are like my children. I would not fire you all. And then they fired them. And this time they watched them in the eye. As if they specialize in being con men. Where they watch you in the eye with a smile and say, don't worry, we're going to make you permanent. And then they remove money from the Imani that was getting $1,300. They removed the 300.
You know,
And then they give them 2.
I watched something in this I watched something in the supplemental, Mr. Pierre, and that to show the policy of NDC. Remember when there was all this halabaloo and song and dance about the seed money, and they say it was not budgeted for, and all these issues, Mr. Pierre. You know, in the I see in the supplemental budget, they budget for assistance for seed for Carriacou. That to show the track record and the playing of politics.
Well, if you're in politics, you must play politics.
Yeah, but
I don't blame NDC for
I don't blame them. I'm just showing you the policies, and we recognizing this, we ought to be able to debunk and defend.
And NNP did not answer.
No.
The education program was weak. I observed I was sitting in a bar doing what I do best when I relax. And about 5 or 6 beautiful women came in. So immediately they got my attention. And they had some uniform on them. And then I engaged them and I said, what you all doing in this uniform? Where you all going? One of them laughed and they said, well, they campaign. They said, who are you campaigning for? Well, they said they don't worried with me because me is an NNP already. I said, no, I'm not NNP. Come and give me 10 reasons why I should support NNP. And they was stuck like rainstorm.
They watching on the ground like they money lose.
They said, I said, come and give me 10 reasons why I should support NNP. And then I asked them the next way, give me 10 reasons why I shouldn't support NDC. And I felt a sadness overtake me. They was not prepared. If you are sending out individuals in the field, you must prepare them.
Education.
They might be a very good supporter of you, but that doesn't mean they could go and convince people. They may curse the people and fight with the people. I remember a woman saying somewhere in 1983-84 election, only 2 persons she will vote for in the community. And everybody shocked because she was a whole Gayite. She said only 2 persons. She said she will vote for Arlene Walker and John Galt. And they asked her why. She says the only 2 people in the community that is called her Miss. Everybody in she name.
There is 2 persons calling her Miss.
But it's 2 Young men have respect for, they just call a miss, and sometimes just get a little change. So people support people for different reasons. At that time, Arlen Walker ran for election and he won the seat. And he had 5 people, elderly people, he called the 5 wise virgins.
Mm-hmm.
They pray for Uncle Gary and they vote for Arlen Walker. They say they can't do vote for Arlen Walker. So they go pray for Uncle Gary and vote for Arlen Walker. So people vote for people for different reasons. But as a political party, when you send out your politicos and your campaigners in the field, you must prepare them. And they must reflect the party's inclusiveness, the party's tolerance, the party's all encompassing, the party's grace and humility. You have to train them. You can't just pick up a mama because she's looking good and she say she's supporting you to put out in the field. The education program, the NDC never, the NNP never responded to the propaganda and lies of Dick Mitchell.
Yeah, we took it for granted.
And Dick Mitchell lied without compunction.
Mm-hmm. Because he was unabated.
He lied on everything.
He get a free road.
He said, yes, I go do that. Yes, I go do that. Yes, I go do that. And when I test him in the rum shop, they say, in the rum shop, the guy said, no. This guy is not a good guy. As soon as we went and investigate, because he visited some rum shop.
Yeah.
So we went and interviewed our brothers in the rum shop. Remember, they are members of the RDA. You know what is the RDA?
Tell the people.
Well, you have a lot of time to learn. The Rum Drinkers Association. When you go in the rum shop and you speak to them, you have some of them that doesn't talk. They are philosophers and they're very analytic when the politics is concerned. They say Dick is a dangerous man. They told me he's a dangerous man. They say everything he said, yes. They say he don't mean it. That is where we coined the term. We coined the term, he is a fake.
Who sent him?
And who sent him? Because he was not in touch with reality. He tell lies without compunction.
Just to confirm what you say, in the Tivoli area too, one gentleman say one evening he was in a place and Deacon came. And he said he was amazed that everything you ask, the guy had an answer for it. He said only God does do that.
So the NNP have to pay attention to the education program. They must not take it for granted. And a lot of ministers took what they have done. We have done so much work. Work doesn't make you win election. Politics does. And you must have a proper education program. You have people who have a polling division. Some constituency have 7, 8, 9 polling division.
Mm-hmm.
And you person in charge of the polling division or the team in charge of the polling division must be well educated politically.
Well oiled and up to date.
I remember in 19, Eric Gary asked a question about the most, prior to independence, you had a list with about 20 of the things that government did, most important in order something. And people were able to write down the things that government did. And Riley Charles won a scholarship to go to university.
On that basis.
So they was giving you price based upon your academic education.
Mm-hmm.
So if you was qualified for university, you get a university education. If you was qualified for secondary school, you get secondary school education. Uncle Gary was a wise lad.
Mm-hmm.
If you did not have much qualification, he gave money.
Yeah.
So the price was based upon the capability of the individuals. But one individual who was a teacher got a scholarship to go and do his bachelor's degree. You must have a good education program. If you don't have a good education program, you might have a bad public relation program.
Yeah.
The NNP public relation program was not good.
But the information,
They didn't know nothing about the internet. The only person who knew about the internet
Kate.
was Kate Lewis, because she was the youngest teacher. The others didn't know. I was surprised that Clement and all didn't know about the internet. I thought he'd have known because he lectured in the university. He knew. And the gentleman in St. Patrick's, so you call him again? The
Mello.
minister, not Mello. That look at the forgetting him long.
Minister in St. Patrick.
Yeah, he was the minister in St. Patrick. He was minister of Boston.
Anthony Boson.
But Anthony Boston didn't know nothing about the internet. Kate was the only one who knew about the internet. And the NDC smother.
Yeah,
The attacker.
The attacker very early.
And I noticed after the battering she get, although she flexed muscle in parliament, but she come very quiet. So the NDC had a free rein to liars when horse-trotting on social media. And NNP had no answer for that. Your education program was not good. And your public relation program was way out. As an institution, that must be corrected. It means that you did not make certain you have people who was knowledgeable about the internet, knowledgeable about your education program. These are some of the shortfalls you have. But you mustn't take it and make larger counter. You must correct it.
You mustn't take it and make what?
Larger counter. Don't take it and make. You must correct your mistakes.
As they say, nip it in the bud.
Because it's a powerful institution. The National Democratic Congress.
You think that happened as a result of complacency, senior? Being in the thing for that long?
It could be complacency, and you see, when your survival is threatened, you could be much more eventful. Yeah. The NDC know they can win election. Every time they win, they surprise. Yeah. So they spend a lot of time planning lies and propaganda.
They pelt in more on.
And when they win, life shock take them.
Yeah.
So they can't govern. Now the same thing that happened. NDC win election and they're recklessly incompetent. How could you win election and you're calling the people who vote for you classless and commoners and greedy and beggy? It means that you never expected to win. Now you win, you panic. Panic, NDC panic there. You see, they're afraid to go on the press. And every time they go on the press, they say wrong thing. They panic.
Yeah, but senior, when people like you speaking about them, every time they go on the press, they have to be frightened too.
Well, in tongue long, remember, it's the same group of people that cut down Belleville and Nutmeg. All know you cannot get no member NDC tell you why they cut down the band and Nutmeg that was brought in Grenada in 1884.
But because even now, senior,
and they take about 25 million for that.
Even in agriculture, senior, and your good friend, the Minister President of Agriculture, you heard him yesterday in a clip where you were so apprehensive to speak.
Sorry for the minister. You're sorry for them, they panic. And it's a dangerous thing for our economy when you have a political party that panic.
It's like, the saying, when a deer end up in bright light, he can't move.
Panic. He's a cat back against the wall. He's striking, even though you come to help NDC, you're striking at them. I genuinely want to help this political party. They signed the death warrant already, they're doomed. But I want them to walk away with a little dignity for the sake of the country. You don't want Caribbean people laughing at Grenada. We set standards in the Caribbean. We set standards. And when you have a political party of that nature, they're making you look stupid in the Caribbean. Extension officers going away to bend their head, The Prime Minister said he's going to take a truck to pick mango. And he claimed when When the electricity company finish work 4:30, they go lend the truck. That is economics.
But when you hear how the Prime Minister spoke to picking up nutmeg, you have to know
He lie.
what assault
Little
and
nutmeg, the
he
prime minister
lied.
line. He say he pick up nutmeg to buy nice things.
And every time they try to promote the Prime Minister, one cutting wood and next one
They try their
playing
best.
cricket, it looking very difficult.
He look awkward.
He make anything look difficult. Little children don't want to cut wood and thing
He
again.
look awkward. The prime minister say he will take a net.
When you grow up, you know a thing they call Harley cut?
Yeah. The prime minister say he will take a net to buy the Sargassum.
And nobody brave enough to tell him don't do that, you know.
When you go in the foreign country, the extension officer on course they kicks in on you. Why you don't advise the prime minister?
The Prime Minister was so comfortable to be in a public meeting and dabbling their occult. When you have a lot of people who sat there who ought to have known
Them
better.
Christian watch the prime minister dabbling their court.
And they don't say nothing. That tells you something.
Now you see, he panic. We're in a very bad position in Grenada. You know. The government panic. And when the government panic, the government just doing stupidness.
Because
now, look at the poor fella at MIT. It's an engineer. He designed the prime minister take 15 million and he put it on MIT. You know?
yeah.
Well, what happened to the Department of Housing? MIT don't have
even
the expertise.
even though you talk about works. And what is so strange is after the MIT minister say a design came to him and he asked the person who was around and they say he could work. Then you see the government have some workshop for designing buildings.
That is an embarrassment of no mean quality. You know. You take 15 million, you don't give it to housing, you don't give it to communication and works, you give it to MIT. You know what happened to the engineers and senior public officers? They just locked down on you. You know?
Yeah, they don't telling you nothing.
They said that is not my pay grade. Just as the police commissioner do. But you don't say that publicly. You say that within department. They said that is above my pay grade. Because if you could put that which supposed to be under housing, under MIT.
Senior, give the number to call.
The number to call is 410-3030.
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp alone you could use.
410?
410-3030.
Somebody asked that.
Yes, are you correct? So, I am sorry for the National Democratic Congress. Why am I sorry for you? Not because I like you. I'm sorry for you because you becoming an embarrassment of grandiose proportion. And you're going to make Caribbean people laugh at us. Every utterances that come from your mouth is an embarrassment. How 50 years after independence, you could be calling your own black brothers classless, commoners.
But the Prime Minister was comfortable in the sanctity of Parliament to call people hungry mountain.
The Prime Minister
and beggy in the sanctity of Parliament.
A lot of people believe
not to say he was in his house and he say that.
A lot of people believe because you have certificate you have sense. It doesn't mean that. You could have a law degree, but you don't have much sense otherwise. And that is what happened to Grenada. They believe because the Prime Minister is a lawyer, the Prime Minister is smarter, he has sense. No. Not because he's a mason, you could fish. A lot of people don't realize that. Not because he's a mason, you could fish. Not because he's a carpenter, you know how to dig fig hole. And that's what happened. The Prime Minister is a lawyer, a corporate lawyer, writing agreements, and people believe because he's smart.
Let me give you a story. You say not because he's a mason, you could fish. There was a guy who used to all his life he do labor and so on. So somebody give him a job to plant some cocoa, but you know in them days when you got the cocoa in a plastic bag, he dig the hole and put all the cocoa
with the plastic
bag.
Yeah.
After a while, they find all the cocoa dying. When they really check it out, the root can and hand nowhere to go.
Can go.
And that seem similar to what the Prime Minister here now.
So as we reach to the end of the program, I think we need to go back to NNP and remind, we have about 5 minutes. Remind NNP, 40 years is a significant period. You could beat your chest. You could feel good. You could smile. You are a political institution of no mean quality in the Caribbean. You are the most successful political party in Grenada, if you don't know. And you are the most successful political party in the Commonwealth. And you have the most successful political leader in Grenada and the most successful political leader in the Commonwealth. You are the most tolerant group, most all-encompassing and inclusive. And 40 years, the time has come to stamp your print in Grenada politics so the NNP could last for the next 100 years. Like the Republican Party and Democratic Party, you need to have a specific month for your convention. You could change days within the month. Everybody must know NNP convention month. When you do that, you will be embarrassing all other political party to do that. You need to set the pace. You have a convention coming up. It must be open, clear, and democratic. It mustn't only be fair. It must seem and look and appear NNP convention month to be fair. And you must put emphasis on your education program.
Yeah. You must educate the politicals and the members.
When Dick Mitchell said, since 1983, nothing has not been achieved in Grenada, there should be a hue and cry throughout the country. There wasn't. You was too silent on your education program. Even when you insure the country, you didn't tell people. Even when you insure the country, you didn't tell people. And you have to educate your political.
Because I always remember when Linda Stricker asked the President Prime Minister about that, he didn't even know.
He didn't know. Well, I don't expect him to know much. The Prime Minister is a fake. He pretending. He don't want to tell people he don't know, so he won't learn. He won't learn. He's a fake. And now we consider him as poor people terrorists. He won't learn. But the NNP, your education program must be strong and your public relation program must be good. You have to deal with social media, but you must not abandon terrestrial radio.
Nah.
Because there are a lot of people in Grenada that don't know about social media.
No, but
and in the next 50 years, someone know too.
But they go listen on radio.
They go listen on radio. So, Massacre, we have 2 minutes more. That is your time.
Well, I think the topic was a topical one in this time. NNP, the institution to make persons understand the role NNP has played, and we come back the expectation again of the people that NNP would return and do some fixing to the morals this government has put Grenada into. And the part about education and information is very essential in times like this because we have the social media bandwagonists and bajan spewing a lot of misinformation. So the education by the NNP, not because they're not in government, nor doesn't mean they don't have to educate the politicals and members. So it was a great program today, I think, Mr. Pierre, and I hope we'll continue to evoke discussions on the way forward for NNP.
And we want to encourage people to share our program. We are the new kids on block. Share our program. And we have a combination of youth and old in the studio. So if that could work, we know it could work in Grenada. Thank you very much.